All right, guys, today in the shop, we're finally ready to get this motor put back together. We got some heads going on, head studs, gaskets. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I'm super excited for this episode. I know some of these multi-part episodes can get a little boring after a little while, but we're finally reassembling this motor. And I'm excited about some of the stuff we got going on with it. And hopefully you are too. Hopefully you can learn a little bit here and, maybe check out some of this stuff we got going on. But the biggest thing I'm excited about is we got these Powerstroke Products Heads. We got these from Blessed Performance, and these things are really awesome. They are a brand new casting. So, sometimes the original Ford heads, they've been around for a while. A lot of these trucks are getting older, so they got cracking going on. They've been repaired. They're not long for the world anymore. So getting something that's got a brand new casting is pretty key. These things are O-ringed. They have all upgraded valves, valve springs, and a lot of the problems have been addressed that you have with the factory casting. So I really think these things are going to hold up well, and the fact that we have an O-ring on here is going to help seal that head gasket up a little bit better. I mean, we're not going to be nice to this truck, so, hopefully this saves us some headaches down the road. The other thing we got going on is we're going to be trying out these Gator Fasteners. So I've never tried these before. They came highly recommended from Blessed Performance. So far, from opening the box and checking them out, they seem like a pretty high quality product. I mean, I've used the competitors. I've seen a lot of the Chinese ones. I've never actually installed them in a customer's truck, but those just don't even bother with those. But these things are pretty cool. They come all individually packaged. They have these nice thread protectors on there. Some of the other people, you open up the box and the studs are just bouncing around in there, and this is nice little touch. All the other components, the washers, the nuts, all that stuff individually packaged, and it comes with AMSOIL assembly lube to torque the studs down. This is a little bit different than the other brands, but we're going to try this out. We're going to see how it works. Their install procedure is definitely different also. So if you're used to using the other guys and you want to try these out, make sure you follow these instructions step by step, because it's definitely different. So to top all this off, or say to finish all this off, we're going to be using a gasket set from Powerstroke Products. Now, this is what they call like a full valve grind gasket set. It comes with every single gasket you could possibly need to do the top end on one of these motors, and then some. A lot of this stuff you might not even end up using, but it comes with everything from manifold gaskets to EGR gaskets, valve cover, intake, and the head gasket set. So this is a pretty good kit because you don't have to worry about individually sourcing everything, and it's all right here in one box. So let's get right into it. Let's start getting the block finished, clean up, and get the studs in, get these heads on. All right, so first thing that needs to be done is all the head bolt holes need to be cleaned out. I like to spray a little bit of brake clean in and then blow it out with a blowgun. After the holes are cleaned out, spray a little bit of brake clean or degreaser on a rag and wipe down the block. Then you can install the dowels and thread the studs in by hand. It's important to put a little bit of lubricant on the threads of the studs, and also make sure they all go to the same depth. If one of them looks like it's sticking up a little farther than the other, you have to recheck it or potentially retap the hole. Just make sure all the studs sit about the same height. Once the studs are in, lay the gasket on, then install the head. Then you can install the rocker box with the new gasket. So after you drop the rocker box on with the new gasket, the next step is going to be assemble the valve train. Now there are a couple of bolts that hold the rocker box on. I don't put those on until after. Some people say you don't even need them because realistically the head bolts hold it down, but I do like to put them in. I just wait until the valve train's assembled. So a crucial step is we're going to be installing new push rods, and you have to really make sure that you get those push rods all the way down into the lifter and centered on the push rod. We're installing a set of like high strength River City diesel push rods. You can see these things are a real improvement over the factory ones. They're a one-piece design, and they're much stronger, so they're going to resist deflection as the RPM comes up. Sometimes if you look at a push rod, they tend to bend once you start really putting a strain on them, especially with, you know, higher valve spring rates and all that stuff. So we're going to drop all the push rods in. I like to put a little bit of assembly lube on the tips just so when you first fire this thing up, they're not dry. And then we're going to put the bridges across the valves, and then we're going to put the rocker arms on. And I like to just get the bolts started on the rocker arms. If you tighten the bolts all the way down before you start putting the nuts on for the head studs, it'll actually start to pull the head up, because there's obviously going to be some of these that are, some of these that the cam is going to be pushing up on it. So you really want to make sure that you're not stressing the valve train before you torque the head bolts down. So let's get this valve train in, and then we will start putting the nuts on for the head studs. So one quick thing that I forgot to mention that is pretty important, and I glossed right over it because I'm just so used to doing this, but there's a little dowel on the crankshaft, and you want to make sure that dowel is set to the 6 o'clock position before you start assembling the valve train. If you don't do that, you risk the chance of rocker arm blowing off when you first fire it up. The valve train's really not in the optimal position if it's not there, so just start off with that dowel at the 6 o'clock position, and then you can start assembling everything from there. All right, so Gator Fasteners says to install the washers, then lubricate the top of the washers along with the threads of the studs. Make sure there's plenty of lube on the threads for the nuts and everything. Snug them down. And then start by torquing them all to 23 foot-pounds. Now in this first step, you're also going to want to torque the 5 outer little 10mm head bolts to 23 foot-pounds as well. Now at this point, you can go ahead and torque all your rocker arms and rocker box bolts. Follow the same torque sequence: 90, 170, and then 250. All right, we got this side all torqued down. Next step, start on the other side. Follow the same procedure, make sure everything's nice and clean, and definitely make sure you wipe down the surface of the head too before you plop it on. It's It's one of those things, they use a little bit of oil on the surface just to kind of keep it from rusting, keep it from corroding. So make sure, just like you wipe the block down, before you drop the head on, just make sure that you give that a quick wipe. So I'm gonna get started getting this side all cleaned up and ready to go, get this head on, and then we'll go from there. All right, that 240 foot-pounds is a workout, especially on a stand, because as you're trying to torque this down, the stand is moving all over the place, and it's a lot of work. So one thing I want to point out to you guys, this is a big rookie mistake that I don't want to happen to you, is these heads don't come with the plug in the back side of it. So they can be used on either side. So basically the front is where the fuel line goes in the back you need to have a plug, unless you're using a regulated return, which we're not doing at this time. We will be doing one at some point, but right now we're not going to do it. But you need to make sure that you take the plugs out of the old heads and put them in there. Otherwise, the second you start that truck, it's going to be a mess. You're going to turn the key on and it's going to just spray fuel right out of the back side of the head. And it's kind of hard to see that. So if someone didn't tell you and you really weren't looking for it or paying attention, that's very easy to miss. So from here, you're basically just going to install the injectors in, and then oil rails, glow plug harnesses, all that kind of stuff. Finish buttoning this up, and this motor is just about ready to go back in. So I got to take off because I got to head to a powder coater. I got to drop a bunch of the stuff off. So I'm going to take you guys with me. We're going to go for a quick ride, drop this stuff off, and that'll be it. So I figured, since we had the motor all apart, we might as well get some of this stuff powder coated. You know, the truck's not really a show truck. I built it more to be something I'm gonna beat on, kind of race truck type of thing, but I mean, it might as well look pretty if we got the thing all apart. So I'm dropping some of these parts off at McNasty Customs. Some of you guys may know him. He's the one that does the bolt-on nose conversion kits for the, you know, to bolt like a 08 and up nose onto an older truck. And then he also has the one for the 11 to 16 nose onto the older truck. He's a friend of mine from the same town as me, so I figured might as well bring the stuff over. We got some color matched powder coat that'll match the paint on the truck, so I think it'll end up looking pretty good. But aside from that, I think I'm gonna kind of leave this video off here. I want to give a big shout out to Bless Performance. We've been getting pretty much all of the parts through them, and they've really taken good care of us. Extremely fast shipping, and if you guys want, I got a link to their website in the description below. You should go check them out. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comment section. I know these videos, I'm trying to get through them fast. I'm a little bit of a rush here to get this truck done, but I have no problem answering questions. If you got them, leave them in the comments below, or you can shoot me an email. My email address is always in the description of the video. And you know, I just want to say, as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching and commenting and all that. It really is the whole reason I do this. So I'm gonna leave it off here, and as always, guys, thanks for watching In the Shop.